welcome to this beautiful Mother's Day session. And it's a wonderful world that we are living in, and mothers make it even more beautiful. And we can actually make the future of our children more beautiful because we need eco-conscious and a compassionate generation today. Just yesterday, my husband was telling me, that when I'm driving, uh, people are not willing to give way. Like, it'll take you only a few seconds. So this is compassion when you just allow everyone to be. So all the more I thought so important for us to actually, raise a generation who thinks about others before themselves, who thinks about this planet before themselves. And of course, eventually children do what they want to, but whatever seeds are sown will sprout someday for sure. I remember my mom teaching me lots of things. Then I went haywire as a teenager. I did exactly opposite. But once I realized, everything came back. So please don't ever think that what you're doing is going in vain. Whatever efforts you put in raising your children are going to have some result someday. Every seed sown will flower. It's only the time changes. Okay. I will invite our first speaker, Vineeta Punjabi. She's based in Dubai and she's got these two adorable children, Prisha and Neve. And Prisha and Neve are, I remember going to their house one day, and Neve, it was lunchtime, and Neve came back from school, and that boy, he's only 9 now, at that time probably 7, he only had salad. Okay, and I was so impressed. Neve is a little activist, and we just met, bumped into his teacher the other day, and she was praising him so much. She was saying he's like a model child for every parent. So let's see what Vineeta does, and see if we can implement certain things. It doesn't have to be with your children. It could be with your husband. It could be with your teenagers. It could be with anybody. So it's all about building relationships. So Vineeta, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rana, for that introduction. And thank you all for joining in. It's so lovely to see so many mothers, spending this lovely Saturday afternoon with us. Both Komal and me are very excited to share some tips and tricks that, of course, like all others, we are not perfect, but at least some tips and tricks that can truly enhance your experience of being a mother. I really like this proverb, which is a very ancient proverb, which says that God couldn't be everywhere, so he created mothers. And it's so true, right? We can't be everywhere, but at least, like Rena mentioned, the seeds that we sow now will someday sprout. So I'm going to begin today's session talking about raising a compassionate generation. So first of all, let's start with what does it mean to be compassionate? Compassionate means simply that being empathetic of others' feelings, not only emotionally, physically, mentally, what they're going through. Somehow, if you can understand that, you will be able to go out of your way to help them, right? So that's what compassionate means. And we worry too much about how our children will be successful, how will they do, but honestly, all children, they find their path, and they eventually do find their way of becoming successful. But what is really important, or what our world needs right now, is kindness, generosity, and of course empathy, right? So how do we instill this in our children? First of all, children are naturally empathetic, right? They naturally have that in them. If you go back in time, and you look at yourself when you were a child, it was so easy for us to make friends. There was no judgments, no sort of differences, right? We could easily do that. And so our kids right now are like that. They can easily understand what someone else is going through. Even a 2-year-old can make out from your expressions, if you're sad or happy or angry. So children already innately have that in them. But as we grow older, we sort of forget, we sort of get so caught up in what we're doing that our habits change, or we just try to ignore what's actually going on within. So how do we make sure that as they're growing up, we can instill that in them? Number one is by setting an example ourselves. So the best way forward is for us to be an example ourselves to our children, because they imitate everything, right? We set an example ourselves. And how do we do that? I'll get more in detail in the onward slides. Creating an atmosphere of joy and love. This is so important, right? Again, if you go back to your childhood, I'm sure you've had a beautiful childhood, and you remember how wonderful it was to be um, in a house full of love, full of joy always. And that's what I remember in my childhood, and I want to pass that on to my children so that they understand that it's so important to be loving and joyful. And compassion in our food choices. How do we show our children that we are compassionate in a way that our food choices also reflect that? This is so important because uh, sometimes we disconnect ourselves from what is actually, what we're actually doing. Sometimes our actions don't reflect our values. And that's why it's important that when we make choices every day, we reflect our true values. So, how do we set an example? As parents ourselves, we, like I mentioned, they imitate everything that we do. And we can begin with seva. So seva, I'm sure most of you must have heard this term. It simply means doing something for someone selflessly or unconditionally or without expecting anything in return. And how do we do this with children? You can start giving them small chores at home. I'm sure you already do, but probably emphasizing that doing this is a way for them to help in the house, putting their laundry away or helping in the kitchen. Spending time with grandparents. This is my mom and my daughter in the photo, and it's so important for children to spend time with their grandparents because there's so much to learn from them. And if you do not have grandparents at home, spending time with some sort of elder so that they get that understanding of how to help out and how to be with them. Donations is a good idea. So what we do is we collect all the clothes that they have outgrown, and we take it down to we have a donation box in our community, and we take it down there and we give it. And I explain to my children that why we're doing this. There's somebody in need who needs this, and since we are not going to be using it, instead of throwing it away, it's a good idea to give it to someone in need. Same with books, same with old things. Volunteering is a very good way. If you have an old age home close by, or even if you have an animal shelter where they can go and feed the animals, it's a brilliant way of for them to understand that there are people who are suffering and going through a hard time, and they can offer them help or give them some sort of joy and peace there. Another way to set an example is to innate this or create this love for nature and animals. Now, when we were younger, I remember we used to love playing in the mud, in the rain. But now, if you notice, children are very confined to to the four walls that they're in. But it's good to, at least take an initiative to take them out in nature as far as possible, because we've sort of disconnected ourselves from that. They really don't love and respect nature as much as we did, right? So the way that we can do that is take them out to nature trails. It's simple, right? You just take them out to any place where there's lots of nature, and you can just go on a trail. You can go to the beach. My daughter loves the beach. She'll collect shells. She'll bring them home. She'll wash them really well, and then she'll paint them into different colors, and she'll make a collage. So it's really lovely. We do hiking. We do walks. We go to animal sanctuaries. This is so important because children innately love animals. As we grow older, we have this fear. But when we are young, we really love being around animals. And it's so nice to take them to sanctuaries where they can actually be with animals and understand how animals are in nature. Also, you can enroll them to some sort of class which teaches them how to respect and love nature. A class that I had enrolled my son to during the lockdown, this happened, of course, 2 3 years back, where um, he was doing this nature writing class. It is by Sarah Pinto, and of course you can search, and or you can search other classes as well. The class is beautiful because it was not only about writing; it was about getting in touch with nature, getting in touch with the environment, understanding what's happening, and also getting in touch emotionally. So getting in touch with yourself. So I really seen how Neve has loves this class and how he's grown with doing this class. So it's really nice to do these extracurricular activities as well. And another way to set an example is probably watching inspiring movies or reading books. So here I have a long list of movies that you can watch with your child. Probably you can take a photo or a screenshot. Some of my favorites is Wonder. Wonder is about a boy who actually looks different from all the other kids. He had an accident, and he looks different. So he was very scared to go to school. But once he did, he used to hide his face with a helmet. And once he went to school, he understood that it's not what your outward experience, outward look is, but it's what you are from the inside, how you are from the inside. And that changed him. And it's a beautiful movie. I think all children should watch it. The other movies are also beautiful too. There's another one, My Neighbor Totoro, which is one of my daughter's favorite movies. She'll watch it time and again. This was a recommendation by Sarah, and it's a lovely movie about how others can look different from us, but we're all the same, we're all playful. Another one is Kindness is Contagious. This is another beautiful movie where it shows kids how doing one act of kindness can become this loop or this circle, and it will come back to you eventually. Another one is Tare Zameen Par. That's also a beautiful movie. So of course, watch these movies and help them. Atmosphere of joy and love. This is, again, like I said, it's so important, because when you create that with them, they understand, how it is to be happy, to be loved. And the first thing that I would say is to create an attitude of gratitude. This is so important. I remember as a child, my mother used to tell this to us, but I never took it too seriously. Like when I mentioned, once we were teenagers, we didn't care much. But now it makes so much sense, right? And but those seeds were sown, and so it was very easy for us to grasp that. So with my children, what I do is we do a gratitude jar. I've taken an old jar which they themselves decorated, and then what they do is they take chits of paper, they write down what they're grateful for, they don't have to show it to me, and they put it in the jar themselves. Or you can have a journal for them. If they like writing, it's good to have a journal. They can sit and write down how they're feeling, not only the grateful things, but also if something didn't go so well. And there's another activity that I love doing with them. Probably we can all do it together. It's called Rose, Thorn, Bud. It's simple. It's so you can imagine a rose. So a rose is something that went really well. It could be during the day or during the week, whenever. So you can think about something that went very well, something that you're grateful for. It could be very small. And thorn, as the name suggests, is something that didn't go so well. The low point in your day or the low point in your week. Sometimes our children don't say it out loud to us, but it's good for them to take it out. Suppressing feelings is very common these days. We suppress our feelings and we move on, but it's always good for our children to take that out or to say it to us, and that will really help them later on. So we have rose, we have thorn, and bud is something that you would like to improve, something that you're something that you're looking forward to. We can do this together. So for me, I would say for the past week, a rose would be something like, I'm grateful for the Eid break that happened recently, and all of us were at home, and it was lovely to have some time with the family. A thorn would be I had to submit something in my daughter's school and I forgot, and she was very upset with me. So I was taken back by that. And then a bud would be probably that I need to write down things to remember them, right? So this was my rose thorn bud, right? And it's so nice for us to share it and get it out of us. And when we sit as a family and share this together, it's really wonderful. This concept is by Nitya Shanti. He's a spiritual teacher, and they really need that time with us. They really need to share not only what went good, but also, the thorn. So having conversations is another nice thing to do with your children. So if, like one of you mentioned, your children are not listening to you, ask them to talk. You listen to them. have these conversations with them, sit down with them. For example, when I talked about watching an inspiring movie, so we do this every Friday. We sit down as a family, we'll watch a movie together, and after the movie I will make sure that I have a conversation with my children. I will ask them, what do you think happened in the movie? What do you think that person felt? What could have he done better? Things like that. So these conversations are really, really important. Complimenting them, this is so key. I remember I used to only say things like good, wonderful, you're doing great, bravo. We tend to just use these simple words and try to get over it. But it's very, very important to sit down with them and explain to them why they were complimented, what went really well, what you loved about their painting, for example. I remember when he was in school, this was a couple of years ago actually, and there was a new boy in his class. He was from Serbia and he didn't know English really well. So it was very difficult for him to cope up in class and to pick up the language. Neve noticed this. He noticed that, this boy is struggling. He actually went up to him and he said, let's be friends. And during the break time, he sat with this boy, helped him with his lessons, helped him learn a little bit of English. And the teachers noticed this, and the teacher noticed this. And she actually, at the end of the year, she put it in his report card that Neve was able to help this boy. And he was very, very, grateful to him for that. But for a teacher to actually write this down and put it in his report was actually gave me inspiration that I should also make sure that I'm telling my kids what really well or what they're doing good, wherever you can, whether it be small or big. It's good to detail your compliments to them. Being in the moment, this is so important. Sometimes I see parents, they're either watching the news or they're watching the on their phone, and they feel like they can multitask, that they can listen to their child as well as be on the phone or do some important work. But it's so important to get away from all those distractions and listen to your child very, very keenly. Be in the moment with them. It makes a huge difference. Now let's move on to compassion in our food choices. We should also set an example where we can show our children that we are making the same compassion that we have for human beings. We also have the same compassion in the food choices that we make, because we have a choice that we can make 3 times a day. And how can we do that? I remember when I was growing up, I was growing up with a dog. We had a dog, his name was Jumbo. He looked very similar to this and this photo. And I had such a wonderful time with him. He was such a good friend, a very good companion. He was so protective of us, and he had a personality of his own. I loved him to bits. And I'm sure if you have had pets, you can think of your pet. If you have ever interacted with animals, you can think of your pet. Um, but then I learned that, eating dog meat is very common in China. I was so disheartened. I was feeling very upset when I heard about that. I was thinking, how cruel of them. How could they be eating dogs? It's just inhumane, right? And then I came across this picture of a lamb, such a cute little lamb, right? It looks just like the dog I used to have. And it's just 6 months old, this little lamb. It's playful and honestly, it also has a personality. But at the same time, I was eating lamb chops, and when I made the connection, I actually had tears in my eyes, because I realized that all animals are the same. All animals have feelings, and it's not that we allow ourselves to eat some animals and play with or pet some animals. It's honestly not fair. All animals should be treated equally. And when I made that connection, I was a non-vegetarian. I turned vegetarian overnight, and then slowly I removed even dairy products. So it's so important. So when your children will actually question this to you as well. Why do we pet some animals and why do we eat some animals? And it's honestly not fair for them to grow up in a world where we don't understand this. And it's good to make the connection early on. And when I did this, I remember my son was just 3.5 that time, and I told him that I want to stop eating animals. he immediately understood. He said, of course we shouldn't be doing this. He was so small, but he understood. And it's very easy for younger kids to make that connection. Another experiment that you can do with your child is show them these two photos. So I did this with my daughter. I showed her these two photos and I asked her, what would you do here? And she said, immediately she said, I would eat those lovely strawberries and I would play with that cuddly little chick. That's our innate nature, right? We do not want to cause any harm to anyone. That's how we are. That's what our values are. And somehow when we grow up, we don't realize this. We disconnect ourselves. We just pay someone else to do the harm for us, and we just close our eyes. But that's, of course, not the right way to do it. If your values are compassion, if your value is empathy, then you will understand this, and you will, of course, change that and show it in your actions as well. Imagine being just so young and being impregnated. So once they give birth, the only reason that they're able to give milk is because they give birth to a child, right? And the cows are obviously not magically made by God to produce milk for us. No, they have to be made pregnant so that they can produce milk. And what happens is that as soon as she gives birth to a son, if it's a son, if it's a male, he is sent straight away to slaughter, which means he's either sent to the wheel industry or he's sent to the leather industry. And if she has a daughter, the daughter is kept for a while. She's given a little bit of milk, she's kept till she is of age to reproduce herself. That is usually 18 months. And she's made pregnant. That means she's artificially inseminated or she's raped, um, so that she can bear a child. And she bears a child for 9 months, just like us. And the same cycle. If she gives birth to a son, he goes off, and a daughter, then she goes off, and this goes on and on. So this whole cycle of giving birth and then her child taken away. Imagine the trauma that she's facing, and this whole cycle goes on for about 4 to 5 years. And after that, she's sent to slaughter or she's sent to the streets. India is one of the largest producers of beef, and it's no surprise where that comes from, right? So I really urge you to make this connection that we are also mothers, and these cows are mothers too, and it's really unnecessary for us to be consuming products that come from her. We've completely disconnected ourselves from this, and once you're aware, then I'm sure you're going to make the right choices and show it to your children as well, um, that this is the right way to go. So how can you make the shift? I was able to easily do it once I made the connection. You can always replace everything with plant-based alternatives. You can replace your dairy with plant-based milk. So it's very easy. There are tons of recipes available on our website. You can replace it with soya milk, almond milk, oat milk, coconut milk. There are tons of options available. You can replace your ghee with coconut butter. It's very simple. Again, we have a recipe on our website. You can replace curd with peanut curd. Of course, it takes some time to adjust to the taste, but eventually you will get there. We all have, and we see the difference not only in our health, but in our well-being as well. I remember, once I gave up dairy, I felt like this big, big weight off my shoulders. I felt so much more calmer because the trauma that mother has is also going into you, right? Um, and that's why we see so many cases of depression and anxiety because of this. And you will notice that once you remove the dairy products, you will notice how you are less anxious and you feel so much more calmer. So yes, easily you can replace your curd with peanut curd. Another one that I like is cashew curd. um, it's very, very close to dairy, and you will find the recipe on our YouTube channel. Paneer you can easily replace with tofu. You can replace cheese with plant-based alternatives. We have, again, lots of lovely recipes on our website. From cakes to cookies to ice cream, it's all possible. So I make everything under the sun. You can see my daughter, she's enjoying this muffin I make from carrots and jawar, and she loves it. We make crackers at home, we make brownies at home. Um, and here's what a typical day for us. Usually, we always start our day with a green smoothie. So I've replaced the milk with green smoothie. uh, green smoothies provide this boost of nutrition first thing in the morning, because of course it's good to always start your day with fruits, and greens provide this like I said, lots of nutrition that you can add first thing in the morning. We have a recipe on our website, and it's very, very simple to make. My son actually calls this dinosaur juice because it gives him lots of strength. And if your child does not like green smoothies, another way that you can do is you can pour your green smoothie into popsicle molds and make them into ice lollies. And that's how my daughter like used to enjoy it initially. She didn't like green smoothies, and I used to give her one of these ice lollies, and she was really, really happy. Lunch and dinner are usually very typical. So lunch, we'll have a typical meal of roti, sabzi, dal. I'll just remove all the dairy from there, and I always serve a salad. It's good to always have some sort of raw food that you can offer to your children. Even if they eat a little bit, it's good to have a salad every day. And for dinner, usually we have something snacky. It's wraps or pav bhaji. We have burgers, pizzas, and everything is possible on a plant-based lifestyle. You really, honestly, don't miss one thing. So let's summarize this. So how can we bring compassion in our food choices? So replace your milk with smoothies, replace your animal-based proteins with plant-based proteins. In fact, a plant-based diet is one of the best diets, or one of the um, most recognized diets that you can follow to stay clear from disease. And if you give that gift to your children, it's actually a gift of health that you're giving to your children. If you're worried about calcium, I know that's the first question that pops up. What about calcium? Sesame seeds and other nuts and seeds also are very high in calcium. Sesame seeds actually have 10 times more calcium than even a glass of milk if you take per 100 grams. And so you can make some laddus, you can give them to your child every day. Healthy snacks, like I showed you, you can make a variety of snacks. All that you were doing before, you can just easily replace it with plant-based alternatives. Involve your children in cooking. I see so many adults these days that they don't even know, how to make a simple meal for themselves. And out of convenience, we've got, so used to just calling, or just on our apps, we can just call food for us. But it's so important that children learn cooking, because it is a life skill. It is something that they need when they grow up. And it's really nice to involve them, because they understand what's going in their food, and they'll be more likely to eat even better. So we must ensure that we give this gift of healthy eating to them, because if you remember when you were growing up, all the things you ate as a child, you still eat as a grown up, right? So if we're able to give that gift of healthy eating to our children as they're growing up, I'm sure once they're old enough to make their own decisions, they will still want to eat in a healthy way. So here are some documentaries and talks that you can watch. These are, of course, not for children. These are for you if you want to understand more about how to live a plant-based lifestyle. And if your children are not vegan and you want them to understand more about veganism in a more subtle way, then Bite Size Vegan she has a YouTube channel, and she has a playlist especially for kids. So if you want to show your kids why animal products should not be on our table, then I would suggest or recommend that. And if you want to learn more about nutrition, there's a beautiful book called Nourish. It's by Dr. Brenda Davis and Dr. Reshma Shah, and they both have made this beautiful book about how to involve or induce plant-based eating with your kids, and how to involve them, and all about nutrition. So it's a really comprehensive book that you can use with them, or if you're interested in nutrition. So thank you so much. I hope this has helped some of you, and to even enhance your experience of motherhood.
Thank you, Vineeta. That was really, really wonderful. And as mothers, we can totally understand what the mother cow is going through. We saw that video where, she was running and, like, behind her child. So at least let us not be a part of this. Even we were not aware. But thankfully, thanks to SHARAN, thanks to Dr. Nandita, we've got aware, and we have seen so many changes in everyone's health, and in our mental status as well. And tell me, Vineeta, are your children, even though on a vegan diet, doing well academically
Yes,
and
absolutely.
health-wise?
Absolutely.
Totally, right?
Totally.
Totally.
In fact, I forgot to mention this, but we barely visit the pediatrician. Honestly, I just go to the pediatrician just to check that their height and weight is okay. But apart from that, I really don't visit the doctors as much. In fact, I get a lot of questions on how to improve immunity for children. And
From the doctor. Yeah.
the best way is, of course, a plant-based lifestyle. They don't believe me, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's something that you have to try for yourself. And
Right.
I started off myself, and my children just followed. It was not something forced upon them. Never
Right.
forced it, of course. It's you set an example, and then
Absolutely. Yeah. And as mothers, we want to give the best to our children. So, um, anyway, so thank you, Vineeta, so much for sharing. And now let's go on to, we spoke about compassion. Now we are going to be talking about an eco-conscious generation. And it's so important to have an eco-conscious generation because this is the only planet we are living in. And we need to start taking care of this planet now. And so please allow me to invite Komal, another awesome mom who, when we were, practicing this session, and I was like, Komal, you've done so much already, I mean, she's done such amazing things. And Swara is such a beautiful child, and I can see, um, all that is already showing. Um, she's still young, so it's showing. Let her reach the teenage, but so let's enjoy it till it lasts. But it comes back for sure. I have a 20-year-old, and I've gone through those teen years, but I see a lot of things coming back. So there is hope. Over to you, Komal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Reina, for this wonderful introduction. And that was a wonderful presentation, Vineeta. It was so touching. And I believe that compassion and eco consciousness is so intertwined that only when you are being compassionate, you'll be able to understand what our Mother Earth is going through. So let's look into what she's going through and what we can do about it. I hope I'm able to sow a seed in your hearts to go eco conscious. I'll just start with my mother here. She's here. Her name is Vijaya, and she's a very loving person, and she is living a very simple, sustainable life away from the city. So I'm really, really inspired by her and have learned a lot from her. Being so natural, being in such a how you can be just natural and be in connect with nature. I'm learning from her still. And on the right is my daughter Swara. She's so adorable, full of life, and I'm so blessed to have her in my life. From her too, I'm learning every single day some of the other things. So today we'll start with a small meditation to connect ourselves to Mother Earth. Gently close your eyes, sitting wherever you are. Breathe slowly and deeply. Recall one happy moment with your child or your mother. Live that happy moment again and feel the connect and love that you have between both of you. Now, let us connect ourselves to the mother of all mothers, Mother Nature, Mother Earth. Imagine yourself standing barefoot on the lush green grass. Feel how that grass is feeling on your soles. Be aware of your breath. Feel a connection with the earth as that grass is touching you. Now visualize roots growing from your feet into the grass, into the mud. These roots are growing deep down into the earth, reaching the core of the earth. connecting you with the earth. You're feeling the deep, safe energy of Mother Earth. This energy which is nourishing, which is alive, and which is holding you with a lot of care. You're beautifully taken care of by her. With every inhale, feel the nourishment from the earth entering into your body. Feel connected and one with Mother Earth, Mother Nature. Now think of all the beautiful gifts that Mother Earth has been giving us. Can be fruits, vegetables, food, beautiful sights, all the beautiful gifts that Mother Nature has been giving us. Think of them and connect to her through them. And be in deep gratitude towards her for all those beautiful gifts. Let us all be in deep gratitude to Mother Earth for loving us unconditionally, for being constantly giving and providing us with such a beautiful world to live in. Take a few deep breaths and be aware of the surroundings that you are in. Move your fingers and toes. Gradually open your eyes now. Were you able to connect with Mother Earth? Yes or no? What were the beautiful gifts that you thought of as you were meditating? So, let's move ahead. I'm sure you may be in a certain set of mind after meditating.
Everything is given by Mother Earth, Swati saying air, soil, food, clothes, etc.
Wonderful, Swati. So, but you know, we are getting so much from Mother Earth, but this Mother Earth is sick right now. She's really unwell, and we need to do really something about it. She needs to be taken care of, and that too on an urgent basis, isn't it? She's running fever. Her temperature is constantly rising, and the rise in temperature is accelerated in the last 1 decade. This rise is causing a lot of natural disasters like storms, cyclones, tsunamis, heavy rainfall, droughts, heat waves, etc. We are all aware of it, right? And these disasters are frequenting now in recent years. Her arteries are clogged. The rivers are her arteries. They are clogged with single-use plastics, pesticides, chemicals, fertilizers, animal waste, and non-biodegradable waste too. And she's dehydrated. We are doing a lot. We are doing our bit to save the water, but that effort is really not enough. Her lungs are failing. Trees are her lungs. We need trees for oxygen. So why are her lungs failing? If you see at this diagram, at this pie diagram, only 7%, the small green patch, 7% of the planet is forest now. The rest of the planet is occupied. And how is it occupied? If you see this blue line, this part is used by animals, is used for animal agriculture. It is one of the major causes of deforestation, and which is why her lungs are failing. And if we continue with this, all the wildlife on Earth is expected to vanish by 2026. That is a lot. And if we continue our ways as we are doing, it is estimated by 2030, we'll see catastrophic climate changes, more extreme weathers like storm, droughts, heavy rainfall, forest fires, contaminated waters, worst health conditions, and wildlife also going extinct, as we saw, and entire cities might submerge in water. And 2030 is not far. This means I may see this in my lifetime also, and my kids may also face this and go through this in front of my eyes. I really don't want this to happen. Do you want this to happen? I'm sure none of you. And you might feel this is just a theory, but no, this is real. Climate change is real. How can we observe that? Earlier, when we were children, bottled waters were not available. We were getting fresh drinking water wherever we wanted. And now it is being sold in every shop, in every corner of the street. As we continue with the same, it is quite possible that our children might have to buy capsules of drinking water. Do we want to reach there? No. Understand that there is no planet B. Climate change is real, climate is changing, and we need to change. Just me making an effort to stop this won't be enough now. We need to make a collective effort, and we need to act now, not just us. We can enroll our kids too. Let us mold them to grow up to be in the eco-conscious generation. Yes, are you all with me? Let us accept this responsibility and make an effort to set it right. And how we can do that? The first thing that we can do is change what is on our plate. Why? We just saw that animal agriculture is really affecting the earth, the planet Earth. The impact of animal foods on Mother Earth is huge. Adopting this step, adopting how we eat, adopting by going plant-based is a major game changer. Climate change reversal will fasten if we go plant-based. What will happen? There will be reduced animal farming. We'll save thousands of liters of water. We'll eliminate water pollution to a great extent. We'll reduce the animal waste, reduce methane gas emissions in the green gas, and save land, and that land can be used for forest or even for growing crops, and in turn we'll have more oxygen and will create a beautiful future for the next generation. You know, if we all go plant-based, completely, all of us, we go plant-based at once, we would cut greenhouse gases by half. The impact is that much. Start with yourself. Vineeta has wonderfully guided us how to go about it. You can even check our website. They are wonderful, more than 100 recipes. And the website will also guide you how to go about it. So these are some facts which are truths. And we really need to know that 23% of global freshwater supplies is used for livestock feed, to grow the livestock feed, which is really high. Again, 14.5% of greenhouse gas emissions is produced by livestock, and most of it is methane, which is far more dangerous than carbon dioxide. 33% of global cultivable land is devoted to livestock feed, and 45% of global land is occupied by the livestock. We saw it in the diagram, and this is increasing rapidly. So what we can do is, we can just start by going plant-based one day at a time. Even if you're going plant-based one day at a time, for one day you're saving 4,164 liters of water, 20.5 kgs of grains, 30 square feet of forests, about 7 kgs of carbon dioxide equivalent is not going out, and you're saving one animal. So you're being compassionate and eco-conscious at a time by just doing one step at a time. One day, go for 2 days, go for a weekend, and gradually you can increase your days of going plant-based. So other than these, what else we can do? We can start by being an example. Start, even Rena said, even Vineeta said that we need to make that change in our lives, and that's how our children will learn to do that. So now we really need to get connected to Mother Earth, and we need to make an effort so that our kids also get connected to Mother Earth. And for that, what you can do is plant a sapling with your child. You can start it at your home right away, in your backyard, in your balcony, in your window. Most of you must be doing that. But when you do it with your kids, they get connected to that plant that they have planted, and they will be constantly checking on it. How is it growing? They'll be watering that plant, and that's how they'll be connected to that plant and to Mother Nature. And it is quite relaxing. My daughter does water the plants on holidays, and it's quite relaxing experience. Gardening is a very, very relaxing experience. It's a stress buster. What else you can do? You can set up bird feeders, bird bath, bird houses in your balconies. You can also keep huge bowls of water outside your building for the dogs and stray dogs and stray kittens to quench their thirst in such hot summer. And it really helps to connect yourself to nature. I'll just show you one example. This is a photograph when Swara was young. We used to have our food time near the window. These bird feeders, the parrots used to come every day. We took this snap because that day the squirrel also came in to share the lunch with us. And even the pigeon was waiting for his turn. So it's a wonderful way to connect to nature again. What else we can do is spend more time outdoors. Vineeta did share a lot about this. You can just start by going to the playground, garden, or the backyard, and let your children play. Let them get dirty. Let them play with the kittens and the puppies and small worms. And let them play without shoes in the mud and grass. Let them be in touch with the nature. Let them connect. So for this, we had actually taken Swara's admission in a school in Pune, Rishi Gurukulam, which had no classroom studies. All the classes used to happen in nature, under the tree, in a tree house, in a cave, on grass, sometimes beside a lake. So that was wonderful exposure for her. And they had farming and horticulture also as subjects. So they had sown some potatoes there, and kids used to, check that place every day for the next 6 months, whether those potatoes are growing well, whether there are any insects or something. So they used to be really connected to that one whole thing at that point of time. Also, you can move out and check. This is a photograph from Marine Lines, where we had gone on the 1st of January, early in the morning, to celebrate the new year. There were wonderful flocks of seagulls there. Similarly, you can, if you're in Mumbai, you can check out. There are flamingos coming in Mumbai during the migrating season. You can check them out. Small tricks also do wonders. Also, when you're choosing your holidays, choose wisely. You can plan your holiday, family vacations with focus on great outdoors. Choose nature instead of theme parks. Maybe not instead of theme parks, more over theme parks. So again, you can choose for places. Vineeta shared wonderfully which kind of places you can choose, like forest safari, caves, bird sanctuaries, etc. Just remember that the places that you stay can be more natural and simple instead of going for some big resorts. This is Swara's snap from last week. She went to Meghalaya for camping and trekking, and she had a wonderful time there. So once you're connected with nature, you have established that connection, the children have established that connection, they'll be a lot more observant. The inquisitiveness will be at their peak. They'll see symmetry in Mother Nature. They'll see the asymmetry also. They'll see that there's a rhythm in Mother Nature. There's a pattern in the colors. There's a pattern in the shapes in Mother Nature, and they're in total sync with her. They acknowledge and respect all the other living beings. That's the most important thing, right? So what else we can do to connect to Mother Nature is, you can, if your child is an avid reader, you can give them rice books. You can check online. There are wonderful books for every age group. for sustainable living, for eco-friendly living. You can check them out. Also, gifting books, such books is a great option. You are adding some value to the other person's life. You can check these movies. They really come up with wonderful, interesting, creative plots while teaching children about the environment consciousness. So I've given you this for different age groups. You can take a screenshot also. Now let's come to going green. How do we go green? By reusing, reducing, and recycling in day-to-day activities. We can encourage our children to go green, to preserve our natural resources. And I'm sure most of you must be doing something about it. Go for local produce. Whenever you're shopping, go for local produce. You can take your kids along, and farmers market are a great place to go for such shopping. Encourage your children to choose fresh fruits and vegetables rather than packaged foods. Look at if at all you're buying packaged foods, look at the origin of the food. Now, talk about the effect of the food miles that it is coming from. The more farther it is coming from, there are more preservatives in it, and the packaging is too much. And we want to reduce the packaging. Compare the products not just by the price, but also by how sustainably they have produced that product. Okay, and go opt for organic food. Why? Because these pesticides, they also enter into the soil and they seep in so deep that they enter the drinking water also. And carry your own bag. Most of you are doing, carry your own paper bag or cloth bag and reuse them. Opt for refills. There are wonderful stores coming up where they are not selling the groceries in packets. We need to carry our bags or dabbas to take the refills. So that's a wonderful way to reduce the plastics and packaging. Also, segregate your waste. Yes, it's a very important thing. You can involve your children also in this by asking them to put the tags on those bins, or asking them, making it a quiz, what will go into the wet waste, what will go into the dry waste. Even the dry waste, you can divide it into paper waste, plastic waste, and biodegradable waste. That is also possible. Start composting. Yes, I'm planning to do this holidays with Swara, and I'm really looking forward to it. Start making your own cleaning and personal products, and we are helping you with the help of Eco Champs, and there are a lot of YouTube videos also where you'll find how to make these, and this will help us to put less chemicals into the sewage system. What else can we do? We need to conserve our resources, right? This is very simple. Most of us are doing this, but we just need to give compassionate reminders to our children. Use less water, have short baths, maybe teach them to use half flush when they go for pee and full flush only when they go for poop. Repair your water leaks immediately, and then you can reduce use of electricity by unplugging the devices when they are not in use, switching off the lights, give reminders to your children for the same, use efficient light bulbs, CFL and LED light bulbs, buy rechargeable batteries wherever you're using for your kids' toys or yourself also. Why? Because this reduces the garbage and keeps the toxic metals like mercury out of the landfills. Then you can use less of paper. You can reuse the newspaper and the printed paper on the backside also. You can make paper bags also. Choose to walk or ride a bike for short distances. Very, very important. No need of using the cars for it. And wherever needed, you can share your rides, do a carpool. You may use public transports also, or you can also choose to travel by rail instead of air if it is really not needed. This will really help to conserve the resources. And avoid plastics, especially single-use plastics. Choose to refuse to use single-use plastics and encourage your children also to do that. Avoid bottled water. Always carry a bottle with you. It can be a clay bottle or a steel bottle or a glass bottle. Carry it with you so that you don't need to buy the water bottles from outside. Also, you can teach your children to make lemon juice, and they can carry it in their bottles so that they don't get carried away to buy those aerated drinks which come in the plastic bottles also. And use reusable cutlery. I always have my spoon, fork, straw uh, in my purse, and I also carry a cup, and also handkerchiefs you can carry with yourself so you don't use too much of tissues, or for bamboo toothbrushes and combs. Cloth diapers instead of regular diapers if your kids are small, and go for cloth sanitary napkins or biodegradable sanitary napkins. And why are we asking you to opt for these biodegradable things? Because the single-use plastic, we are just using for once and throwing it away. But they are lying in the landfills for minimum 60 years. That's too much. Even the used sanitary napkins are lying on this earth for at least 6 years. And a lot of toxins are being generated because of that. So let's at least stop doing that and use things which are more sustainable. This is a very important thing that I love from that I learned from my mother. Use the pre-loved products. Basically, just understand that pre-owned is equal to pre-loved. I have a friend circle where we have children of different ages, so that when the children outgrow certain clothes or jackets or raincoats or sports shoes, we just share it with the other younger child. You can do that, or you can also donate it, just like Vineeta shared. And there are a lot of people who are eco-conscious are opting for pre-loved goods from, there are a lot of websites also for pre-loved goods. You can put up your products there for sale. You can buy products from there. So a lot of people who are eco-conscious are buying goods from there, are buying clothes from there, are buying white goods also from there. So you can try it out once in a while. It's a great opportunity to not use more of the resources. Refurbish unused stuff to put them to use. Like my saris were lying in my cupboard since very long. So one of the saris I made a kurta, one anarkali, one or two saris I made a small chanya choli for my daughter. So something like that. Similarly, you can use the plastic bottles for planting the trees, or for making a bird feed, or for making a piggy bank. And you can make it into an activity with your child also, for making the best out of waste, something like that. Always make a habit to mend things. Recently, my daughter had a fall and her track pant was torn off on the knee. And she was like, Mama, now what do we do with this? So we together searched for a patch which had a teddy bear on it. We found it and we put it over there, and she could use it again. Similarly, when you start doing this right away, when your kids are young, they will learn to use things, repair things and use it. I am used to repairing my chappals and sandals on a regular basis. Only when it is unrepairable, I'll go for a new one. So things like that, once you start doing, your children will see it, your children will observe it and start doing for themselves too. This is the most important thing. Rethink before you buy anything new and before you let go of anything. Buy only things that you really need, and not what you want or for some other purpose, for showing to someone, for your greed. Be really aware what you need. I generally do this if I'm buying online. I keep the things in my shopping cart for a day or two, and then again rethink whether I want it or not. Also with kids, what you can do, if she wants something, I just tell her, put it in your wish list, and then we'll see. So whenever next we are buying something for her, we open the wish list, and then she herself is like, I don't really need this, Mama, now. So they have overcome that need of theirs at that moment, which was not really important. They come to know that at that time I felt I need this, but it was really not important. And you can do the same for yourself also. And before you let go of anything, before you throw anything, just try to find ways to refurbish it, repurpose it, use it for something else, or give it away to someone who can use it. And the last option is to give it away, to throw it. So now let's brief it up. Rethink your choices, refuse single-use items, reduce the consumption that is unneeded, uh, to save the resources, reuse everything that you have, refurbish the old stuff that you have, repair before you replace. Give it an attempt to repair that thing before you replace that thing. Repurpose, be creative and reinvent. And the last option can be recycle before giving it up. Okay, so inculcate these healthy habits in your children and in your life too. In your children, you can do it at a younger age, which is one of the best things that you can do as parents. Well, while doing this, someone told me that the children might turn stingy, but no, if the children are in connect with nature, nature is abundant. Nature is able to give everything that we want for our need, but not for our greed. So that abundance mindset will always be there in your children. Be rest assured about it. So let us all coexist, living an eco-conscious life. Let us heal our Mother Earth by taking these small steps every single day. Just every single day, think about it. What can I do to heal my Mother Earth? And then we'll be able to give this beautiful Mother Earth, which is exuberating life, to our children, to our next generation. And we'll be not doing this just by living consciously. We'll be also equipping them to be living this eco-conscious life and continue to keep that earth in that way. Keep our Mother Earth so beautiful. Thank you so much.
So I want to thank Komal and Vineeta so much for today's session. I think we have got a lot of food for thought. And I'm sure all the mums and parents, mums and dads, actually, everybody has a responsibility, are going to take away some things. And I just remembered something that I want to share. It's a part of compassion. It was an interview I had done with Amir Khan on parenting years ago. And I have done interviews with so many people, but this one line, I can never forget what he said. He said, I was great at tennis and I used to go and play tennis and come back home and I used to always win. And I still remember my mother always telling me that what will that child who is lost be feeling right now? And what will his mother be feeling right now? And such a beautiful way to teach compassion. And you can see in most of his movies, you can see that compassion, especially Tare Zameen Par. So somewhere you never know how it will sprout. So let's think of others, let's think of this planet, and let's think of all the animals in the world. Thank you. We love you all and wishing you and your children and your friends and family great health always from all of us at Team Sharan. Bye bye.